like to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about John. You've noticed this forever on the internet site. That's the way I see the magnetic field. Now, I would like to pass around a card, which Jackie Lindemann has, and have everybody sign in for Tom Beard. Can I do that?
Yes.
Come on, Jackie. Of course. I'll get it. Oh, okay.
That's my first one.
The first one. Les, would you like to start it out? Absolutely.
Small signature.
Yeah. I guess when I'm sort of finished, we can come on. Okay, the year is 1957. John doesn't know anything. You can't see. And I'm playing in the front yard with my friend. My dad works for Rocketdyne. He's a tube guy, so he only knows tubes. He has two of these in his pocket. That's exactly what it looked like. Says, "Here, boys, what can you do with this?" Well, we're 7 years old. What do we know? We know nothing about this. But 3 days later, he was listening to the radio because the power, the device itself, we figured out how to stick two pieces of metal in the ground and power that device, which was a germanium device. So my dad was like a lot of others that worked with him. When this little device came along, you found those engineers pumping gas because you couldn't convince any of them that you needed a heater, whatever a heater is, something you find in a vacuum tube. So ever since that point in time, John has been experimenting with electronics and mechanics and learned a lot of natural laws. Of course, didn't know much until later on in my life. English wasn't one of those. And I just sort of look back now and say, maybe it was better that you didn't just jump right off and get that brainwashed early. Because I look at magnetic fields and I look at these devices all doing a different thing. It's sort of a built-in tuition with me. I get the idea, I run the idea in my head, I make changes in my head, I try a different circuit in my head, but that doesn't mean that John always succeeds. Just like you won't always succeed. So, time goes on. And the next step Tom makes is working in Selmar, California on this device. Right here, called a G-field generator. I knew nothing about it. I read the patent. By looking at the patent, I had an intuition that the coils were wired wrong. So I just wound them my way. Well, to my surprise, this thing took on. I loaded it down and it took off. That was a 12-volt motor, a DC motor at the back of the device, and in this picture here, I'm showing Ike Muller, the Tesla switch. The G-field is sitting over here, and there was a bigger one over here. And I was prepared. I was prepared to go to the Tesla conference. It was an exciting time. But before that, Tom Bearden was releasing a book called Towards a New Electromagnetics. Do any of you remember that book?
Absolutely.
You remember that book, Josh?
Still available.
In that book, there was a machine called the free energy motor. So I'm sure that Rhonda and Gary and anybody that worked with me at the time remember the phone calls to Tom Bearden. It's probably $300 more than we had to call Tom Bearden every night. That's how many times I called Tom Bearden. And we'd talk and talk and talk, and I'd say, Tom, are you sure that this is what they're talking about here? Is there really this current? This is out of the book, Towards an Electromagnetic. And I kept saying to myself, Tom, are you sure that this is exactly the way the machine is operating, just like this? There's a controller, which is nothing more than a switch. And that controller controls these switches right here, which breaks the motor into pulses. I think Peter Linderman discussed that, right? About breaking the motor into pulses. And of course, now here's the real stumper. What is this? It's an energizer. What's an energizer? It's a generator that draws current that's going to slow down when it hits the battery. No, that's not what it is, John. I said, well then what is it? Well, I can't talk about it. Proprietary to the inventors. Like, they only allow me to put a block diagram in the book. So I said to myself, I'm going to call him back and find out what this energizer is. Well, it seems to be that an energizer is something like a G-field or something like a bunch of coils with just north poles, nothing switches, back and forth. And so I kept saying to myself, because I'm conventionally trained, I'm going to charge a battery, there's no current. So for nights and nights and nights I walked around, and then I noticed something funny. when I was charging the battery with the G field, and the G field got to the correct load, the battery would just boil away and the current would go to nothing. In fact, Peter Linderman came to see me in Sylmar, along with an electrical engineer, and I kept trying to point out to the electrical engineer, what's going on in this battery here? Just watch the battery. But of course that wasn't important. You see, even though the battery was charging and there was very little current going to the battery. Well, it is very important, because you don't need that current to charge the battery. You just need the potential to move the ions in the battery. So I built this, called up John Ratzlaff at the Tesla Book Company. And he said, we'll write a book. So the very first book that's in the book that I signed you for you has that first generator in it. So, very secretly, from behind the scenes, Tom Bearden calls me one night and he says, John, the top scientists are talking about it. They've already made them. They work just fine. They can take them up to their cabins. And they don't need to have a solar panel. And believe me, in Idaho, the sun never shines. You want something other than a solar panel. Anyway, but this was circulating. And the next thing I knew is John was being invited to the Tesla symposium. But in the meantime, who should be calling me every day, every night? A man by the name of Jim Watson. And he kept asking me questions. John, how'd you get that motor to run? John, how'd you do this? John, how'd you do that? Well, I was right along with you people. I wanted to help the world, but it was 1984. You can't help them. So, without me knowing a thing, the 1984 conference comes up. And the first thing I did was I called and I said, I don't have the money to go there. And they said, no problem, John, we're going to send you a ticket. So in the meantime, what I was working on was something called a Tesla switch. Through Ronald Brent. We can't leave Ronald Brent out of the equation because he was the first man to send me this ridiculous diagram, which most engineers would have looked at, because it only had circles and little symbols in the circles, and it meant no electrical sense. I posted it on the group, along with the letter, on the energetics forum. When Peter and I were doing the research on Baldinelli. Because somewhere in the equation, Baldinelli fits into the picture too, with his self-charger. So let's move on and look at Jim Watson. By the way, there is, I think, a picture right here. Just so you know, that was the first G field. Those magnets right there are barium ferrite magnets. Because that was the magnet at the time. Everybody had them. It wasn't until later years that they said, oh, we think the barium Why did they take the barium ferrite away? I'll tell you why. It has a memory. It can remember what you can do to it, and if you condition it, it can oscillate. So you can get power from it, right? If you can swing the magnetic fields back and forth, you can put a wire in it, and there you have your energy. That's why they took them away. So we move on to 1984, and I will find everything except I'm blind. Yes, 1984. This shows up. But before this shows up, I goofed up. This is all that Jim Watson presented upon the stage. That's all he did. He got up on the stage and he put this magnet up there. Like everybody knew what that meant. Nobody knew anything. I said, oh, great picture of a magnet. What am I sitting here for? Here I am, I built this box and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to talk on this box. And I got to look at this magnet. And wait. Hurry up and wait, just like in the military. So, thinking to myself, oh, there must be a reason why he's got that magnet up there. But I didn't get the answer, and nobody got the answer from Jim Watson about the machine. He just got up on stage Gee, John, you're learning how to use Windows. See, he had been secretly building these machines. And he wasn't about to tell anybody about any of this. Somebody had given him, he was an auto mechanic. He had 2 little kids and a nice wife. He wanted to do this. So he builds the machine. Doesn't tell anybody, doesn't tell Tom Bearden, doesn't tell John, doesn't tell anybody that he worked with. So the saying goes, loose lips sink ships. You'll notice these 2 machines. There's something different about these 2 machines. Notice this machine. And notice this machine. Now, can I ask a question to the audience? What do you see different between the 2 machines? Between this machine and this machine? What?
Flywheel. Flywheel's missing on the top one.
What? No, the flywheel's on the top. No. Come on, let's really look, people. What's the difference?
It's not a full circle.
It is a full circle.
Number of magnets. Depends on the wire.
See, the magnets are placed on this one symmetrically. Now you're going to get it. John, we give it to you. He stands up. Notice these magnets. What do you see here? They're not lined up, are they? Why do you suppose that is? No, not No.
Discharge.
What does John talk about all the time on the internet? No. What does John always say? Whenever he writes, it's got to be a nonlinear field. It's got to be nonlinear. So of course this machine went to the show and worked. What do you see over here? Peter explained it this morning. Capacitor dump. What do you see here? A mass. Okay, so what Jim Watson did was he got up on stage, he pushed the button, and that jet aircraft motor wound that flywheel up. After that, the trickery begins. You know how I know the trickery begins? I invented it. Here, what he's doing is taking one magnetic field at a time, pulsing it, and using the others for energy. That way, the current always stays the same, no matter what the load is. See the magnets? Barium ferrite. They remember what you do to them. Are you ready for the mind blower? Barium ferrite on the other side of that wheel. Ooh, get the white robes out. Just missing the girl with the blonde hair. Anyway, that is what's rotating this machine in front of you with no current. Look at the shape of the magnets. They are pie shaped. Why did John have them cut in a pie shape? So you would have one magnetic field on the top that was nonlinear from the magnetic field on the bottom. Ring the bell twice and the energy appears and the machine rotates. No trick. Been running all day like that. Go flip the switch. Look at the battery. Look at both batteries. Take one out, bring it to your table, sort it out, see if it's got any power. So, we move on to this machine. But we must not leave out the guy at the Coral Castle. Right? Ed Leeds Gallion. Oh no, my God. There's Ed's generator. But what is Ed's generator? Does anybody know? What did John and Peter show you in 2001? I was proud I was holding the switch. And the lights were on. I'm going to tie it together for you. You shouldn't make any mistakes after this. If you do, call Santa. See this pole and this pole? well, not in the 1800s, but let's see. John said to Jerry Decker on Keely Net, gee, Jerry, all you got to do is push the North Poles together and you get a super beam. You get a real narrow beam and it's 4 times what the magnet is. And if you don't think so, measure it up. Do your own measurements. That's what that is, right there. But it's at the Coral Castle. And it has no practical value because nobody knows what the machine is. What did John do over here? He gives you 10 poles. And he puts them all in series. And he says, gee, Tom Beard's got a nice website. And on that website, he's got a pair of the astronaut's boots. Get it? So what you're looking at on the side here, and Peter and I came to basically the same conclusion. It takes 42 foot-pounds of torque to go through the magnetic locks on the machine. And where's the power? Tom Beard, 2 itty-bitty little spikes on a barium ferrite magnet to switch the fields. That's why if you get up to the machine, which I'm going to let you come up and look, you see it go across the pole. And all of a sudden, the magnet violently shakes. So where is the energy coming from? Right? Easy. 2 little spikes and 1 continuous flash. The poles flip and the motor moves. And that's all there is to it. Nothing hidden, no tricks. Take the wheel off. Give me $2 grand, take the wheel off. Okay, so now, it's not doing anything, is it? Idling at whatever the resonance is. But notice one thing, Ed always talks about his sweet 16. How many magnetic poles on the motor? How many magnetic poles in the wheel? 10 in my case because I'm combining machines. Right, so right now, the wheel's rotating and not doing a damn thing for you. It's not making you feel warm and fuzzy, right? It didn't do anything for me in the beginning either, because I already knew I was going to make it. And I knew that it was going to run the minute that I made it. Because I could see it running. Now, what did I do different? I did not use a monopole circuit. I used a highly modified Bedini coal circuit. See, Peter and I go back a little bit. We worked together, we figured all this stuff out. We tried to present it, but you know what? When you go in a group and they feel it, violently beat the inventor, and nobody controls the one that's doing it, you know what the inventor does? Later, bud. And then of course they try to get the inventor back by saying, I was only fed table scraps. It's true. That's all I would give him after that, is table scraps. So, shall we run it? Okay, we will take it out of idle mode, out of re-gauging mode, and we will put it in run mode. Notice the meters. That meter there is the current that the machine is using, and it's going to follow exactly what Peter told you this morning. As the wheel rotates to 18.5 RPMs, if we're lucky, it has not been using the battery this whole time, but when the green light's on, it's using the battery. However, those batteries over on this side are now at full boil, whether you want to believe that or not. There's 36 volts there. You will probably go up there and measure 45. Now, how do you tell? You don't just use a voltmeter. You use a voltmeter that draws something. So if you put the switch up, you can see where I'm going to let you come up one at a single file, and I'll move the switch for you so you can see it. So we just take this tape down. You first, Dave. Got to give Dave a Luke a hand. He machined through the night. So did Steve. Steve busted his butt to do this. So we have a good team. So come on. Let's one at a time. Don't touch anything. And don't get in the wheel.
You can jump through it, but really fast.
You can jump through it.
It's telling you the condition of the primary circuit. When the switch is down, it's telling you the condition of the secondary circuit and where the battery is. I don't think you can pin it anymore.
I know, it's filled.
Now,
I don't know what's going on.
let's do some calculations. It does 14 joules from this capacitor. Peter went through that with you. Does 14 joules and 3 pulses per second at 14 joules. How many joules is that?
42.
Now, how many a minute? How many an hour? How many in 12 hours? You see, it's self-regulating itself. It's not going to give it any more. It knows it's charged.
Wow.
Oh, he's doing the calculation good, man. I'll bet you come out with $1 million, don't you? 1,680,400 and something.
Wow.
In 12 hours. Now, you're asking, does the machine have any torque? Yeah. Yeah. You cannot stop the machine, and it just adds more power. Okay, so let's combine one by one. And
Just
you
go
can
wherever
view
you want.
the meters.
Let's go around this way.
Yeah, Steve will direct you. I don't want you too near the wheel, because you'll bump your head going to the hospital.
Start over here, clockwise from above.
Come around this way, guys.
Come on. You can feel the airflow. The wheel weighs about between 250 and 3, maybe 400 pounds. And you can feel the air. Air conditioning. So John doesn't BS. If I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to put the machine in front of you. If you think you can disprove it, start measuring. It's possible, guys.
Can you take the batteries off?
No, you need a trigger. Can you take the batteries off? It's not how my machines work.
Yeah, if everybody could clear out in front of the machine, come around behind,
Yeah.
and just walk by slowly. He'll demonstrate it multiple times as everybody goes by.
Oh, by the way, the minute it exceeds the regauging, it generates up there. Something Watson didn't have. There's 3 coils. The first coil in the center is the master at 200 pounds. No trigger. The timing is on the back of the machine, so if you come this way, and guess where the timing is? Where John's been screaming, 23 degrees. So come around this way.
Around the back and out the door.
And out that door.
Can you open the door?
Open that door. Exit there.
They're 18. Multiple times.
Yeah. $1,000 worth of my wire.
I guess it's slamming the batteries pretty good, isn't it?
Much smaller than
So here's the primary
No.
You don't feel it? Smaller coil.
Oh yeah.
battery, and here's the secondary.
At least 50 pounds. Maybe 50, 75 pounds or something like that.
Because it wants more
Yeah,
battery.
50 pounds.
But,
Well.
to prove the point, I put small batteries in it.
We gotta keep moving, or
Yeah,
the people in the back.
Keep moving, guys.
Take a look at it.
Chuck, we're gonna keep them moving now. That way, we need to keep people cycling that way so that they can cycle from there.
If you guys want to come around this way,
Come this way.
because then you'll be able to go by it. You'll be able to go by the back of the machine. And I knew I was going to get the question, what's in the boxes? There's a hidden power source. So you know what?
It's a lithium
I
battery.
bought a drill with a cutter.
Yeah, that's what's in there, right?
Yes, I will break the rule after this. I will allow you a picture of it. Now,
Good to get 'em.
don't John touch the switches because there may be some psychic. All you do is down. The center is off and it goes back to rotation mode on the meter. See, the center is off because that's a hot wire meter. That draws current from the battery. So if there's any surface charge in the battery, you want the meter to read correctly. You don't want to deal in surface charges. And then I'll explain another thing about Watson after.
Keep moving, guys. Keep moving. Let everybody see.
Moving.
So up is the primary
We got a lot of people to go through.
Yeah, we got a lot of people, let's keep doing this.
and down
We're not gonna turn it
is the secondary.
And we'll run it faster.
It's not going to go any faster, it's limited.
Watch your head when you're walking around that.
Yes.
It will knock you out.
Well, you better not, plant the magnet.
Now rides will cost extra.
I got a machine at work that can spin a wheel that big.
Yes, there's a reason for that. When you all decide that you've seen enough, I'll explain that.
He's got an eye open.
Yeah, that'll work.
Two pulses.
What? You want to try and grab the shaft and see? Or-
Go ahead, grab the shaft.
It's the reading on the capacitor.
You know what happened to you last time, you ripped your skin up. Don't do it, Rick.
That, Rick.
It just keeps adding power.
hand. I can't grab it.
I did. When I was first tuning it, I said to myself, John,
You can't stop that.
myself, right? There's a cell somewhere. I said, gee, I want to see which way this wheel's going to rotate. So without thinking about it, just
Yep.
wanted to know. Grab the battery, grab the coil minded 2 leads, toss the battery. When I let go, woo, my arms ached for 2 days.
That's the source.
Oh, by the way, when you're walking around the machine, notice all the non-linear things about the machine.
All right, we gotta,
Keep moving, guys.
yeah.
Rick's on Star Trek, he's taking your pictures you walk by.
I got all your pictures. Got all your addresses, phone numbers.
Now, you're all asking the question, right? Well, what happens when the primary goes down? Nothing. Been running on dead batteries all morning long. You need them for the little spike. RPM and idles between 3 and 7 RPMs, depending on the magnetic field that it's placed in. Changes from area to area.
Convention will make it as a kit too. Some of it.
Well, you want to make it as a kid? Oh, yeah.
Get it through TSA.
No, actually, you can build that.
Wait, tell the story about him. With his, how he discovered it.
No, I'm not going to tell on Steve. I'll tell on myself, but I won't tell on Steve.
Whoa, what happened to this?
That's Windows, man, the blue screen and death.
You want to tell about the rocket launcher?
Yes. That's right. Energy is swirling around here.
The ultimate is very precise. The ultimate.
No, the inner magnets are not barium ferrite magnets. Regular strontium magnets. And you see the metal plate that's underneath the coil? I tuned that plate to shape the magnetic field. So if you bring the plate upward, you close the vortex of the magnetic field down. You bring them outward, you open the zero portion of that field. It's well thought out. I don't do that, Rick.
I'm just showing them it's steel.
You can actually see them moving when the magnetic field goes by. Because what I want,
Keep moving, guys. Keep moving.
I want to bring out the stream, magnetic field stream, so that I can ride that as the magnetic field goes up. I want to ride the vector lines of the magnetic field. And the 2 outer coils are stabilizers. They're slaves to the master. And you notice one is out further than the one's on the left is in further, and the one on the right is out further because I want the magnetic fields non-linear when they hit.
Keep moving.
Gotta keep going, we got a lot of people.
We got a lot of
Go,
people.
go. And later you'll be able to come back up.
Later you'll be able to come back up and examine the machine. I'll turn it off and you can examine it. I will turn it off and let you examine it, so you can see what the magnets look like. I'm going to get into that when you're through the line here.
You can go anytime. You can take a picture anytime.
Can I?
Sure. Of course you can.
Just not a brick. Just not a brick?
Your camera might break.
We gotta keep it on the internet.
Oh no, I'm all over the internet. Hey Dave.
I got a normal coil wound on these, and I can tell you what they are. You can read it there. I wrote the number on it for you if you look. Simple. At the top of the magnet, the magnetic field is concentrated across the iron pole. And it's a short distance. It's like resistance. Make the resistor big or make it small. But in my case, I want the field non-linear. I want to have this part of the magnetic field big, and it's not doing what you think. It's being shorted. There are no loops coming out here like you would see a normal magnet because they're contained in the iron. You want them in the iron. You don't want them outside the iron. And on the opposite side of the coils, there's another wood disc with an iron back. And there's holes all the way around that. That was a discussion of Peter Linderman and me. We do that. He comes by, we discuss that. Come up with an idea, we try it. Don't know if it's going to work if you try it, right? But in 1984, I was building an outboard motor that was magnetic. And I had Les Adams of AZ Magnet cut me those shapes because that's the motor that I was working on. I wanted to be able to get out of the water if I didn't have any energy. I wanted to be able to run on milliamps. So to drive a wheel like that at 16 RPMs or 18 RPMs, if I was to use a conventional DC motor, how much would it take? How much do you think? What would it take on startup? Well, you started that on 5 and you were running at 1.1 or 1.6 with a current meter. That's not a very good current meter, but that's the only meter I have. And if that's the only meter I have, and if that's the only thing you're going to believe, you got it. They sell them everywhere. Don't blame it on John. So you've got those 2 meters. And if those batteries on that side, and if you don't believe me, Rick will switch the batteries for you. I'll make them switch the batteries for you. You can watch it right in front of your face.
Right now?
That way you can't say, oh, they wouldn't switch the batteries. Must be something wrong.
Tom, can you?
See, if in the beginning, the SG group would have been controlled like it should have been, they would have been building those. But they're in nowhere land, are they? Piss the inventor off, see what happens. You'll get what you deserve. Nothing. So, I'll go on with the explanation. People are saying, why are these magnets at an angle? I'll tell you why. I put the Neo magnets. Did anybody buy the DVD series where I explain Howard Johnson? What did I say? Why did Howard Johnson use a barium magnet or a ferrite magnet, a piece of plastic magnet, and then a Neo magnet? He made a nonlinear switch. That's how his train went down the track. It got close to the magnet flips polarity, and the train goes. The little spike in the coils there flips the polarity in the nonlinear magnet. What you want? It's not going to fly you to the moon yet, but close. So what I did was I watched the wheel run, and I said, that's not quite what I want. And I wanted to shape the field. I want the North Pole to pull back. Now, why did John do this? And why did John draw this drawing? Can somebody answer that? Because this is the way I see the magnetic fields, and when I measured them out, this is what I got. On a monopole motor, all north poles are out, because in my head, why do you need a south pole? You don't need to switch anything. Why would you want to switch it unless you wanted some torque or something? But I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the current that Tom talked about in 1984. What is that current? Phi. Nothing there. No electrons. The absence of all electrons. So how do we use the phi current, right? You got to store it in a capacitor. It needs to be translated. You store it in the capacitor, like Peter said in his little demonstration, and you dump it at the right time. And you recharge it when the motor's off. Don't forget that little trick. Or you keep draining current from the primary. Tom, Bearden was very precise when he said to all you people, it's a step charge. It's like John climbing these steps. I can't get it any simpler. I'm filling the water tank. Now I can jump off and get hurt. Why did I make the circuits the way I made them? Because I wanted the water tank half full. Not as hard to fill up the tank if it's half full. That's where it goes. It can only drop down to 36 volts. So guess what that makes possible? What do you think? 100% switch, now we're talking about. But 100% recovery, right, Peter? It makes an SCR possible. It makes it reverse. That's what's in that box, is a FET switch backwards in the circuit. Why? Because the Zener diodes switch it for me. It's very well thought out about what John's madness is. And I always tell you exactly what I'm going to do to you before I do it to you. I told you all day yesterday what I was going to do to you. But nobody listened. You know why? I put it right in front of you. You have to think about why I do things the way I do them. If I tell you the truth, you won't believe me. You're looking for a lie. So my theory is, I'm going to put it right in front of your face and say, there it is. You could go over there and disconnect the box and take the box and examine the box. I brought a hole saw if you want to cut a hole in the box. I was prepared for all this. I knew everything that you would say. Why? I've talked to thousands of people on the internet. They all say the same thing can't work. I know what your circuit is. This doesn't do it that way. This does it that way. No. It does it my way. I made it that way. So, nothing hidden. I'm not going to put a magnet up there so that you people can think about, well, John just put a magnet up. I'm not going away in 2 weeks. Nobody's stealing my batteries. I'll tell you something else. The Watson machine to this day is running underground in several places. But the Watson machine steals the service charge. What do I mean by that? If you look at the Watson machine, you use one battery, right? Here's what they discovered. I hope they worked it out. They probably did. They got more money than me. If you keep doing that to a battery where you take a little bit, you build up a charge and then go bang, put it back. What does it do, Peter? It crystallizes it. That's what they were looking for. Crystals in the battery plates. You know why? It turns into BBs. You can shake it like a maraca. That's why I do it that way. I solve the problem at my level, not theirs. I've always split my batteries because Peter and I discovered a long time ago, Peter was involved. Credits due where credits due. What was involved was you can't take power from my battery while you're trying to recharge. Doesn't work. Oh, my car works. Of course. You have 400 horsepower sitting under the hood, and the alternator's running everything and not doing nothing to the battery. It's just sitting there. Only takes 30 minutes or 40 minutes to recharge the battery in your car, but the alternators is over 1 kilowatt. And your lights are at what? Maybe 65 watts if you're lucky. That's why you hit telephone poles in the middle of the night. So let's see what else we can play with. There's a good one. Jesus, that goes back to Bedini Electronic. Ron Cole. Ron Cole was a very good friend, engineer, and I'll tell you a little story about Ron Cole. Ron Cole he worked for NBC, and we knew each other from the hi-fi industry because we worked together in building amplifiers. On the other hand, Ron Cole was a very unique individual in that he could visualize things. He could say, oh, I can see what to do with that thing. And then you find your circuit over at NBC. But he would show up at 7 o'clock at night with a shopping bag. And you're saying, must have been bringing goodies to John. No. He was bringing beer for himself. And we're talking about 12 packs. Nobody wanted him to do it, but that's the way he was. So basically what happened to Ron Cole, as happens to everybody that drinks, sooner or later the liver goes out. So Ron called me up one day and he said goodbye, the trumpet's gonna blow. And I said goodbye, Ron. And that was it. Ron Cole was gone.
How old was he, John?
Huh?
How old was he?
He was just getting his Social Security, if that tells you anything. 62. His wife called me and said, John, do you want to come down here? Is there anything that you want of Ron's? I said, no. It's all here. It's all up here. It was already on the internet. John was like everybody else. When the internet came up, you had to have a homepage. So however you had to build that homepage, if you had to use a paint program like this one, that's what you did. And I wanted everybody to try it. I said, hey, try it. Don't believe me, try it. But here's what I found. If I give you a circuit and I put that circuit on the internet and I say this resistor is 680 ohms and it uses this kind of magnet and it has 250 turns, guess what you'll do? You'll change it. So you will never get the results that I get because you didn't do it like me. When I said, this is the way I did it, of course, if it wouldn't have been for Peter, I would never learn how to spell anything anyway. I would still be going went there instead of gone there. So, the thing is, if I give you something and I say it's done this way, by all means, man, do it that way the first time. Then, once you discover whether you like the way it works or not, change it. You know, don't call up John and say, where'd you get those magnets? Well, you can't get barium ferrite magnets anymore, so don't call me for them. Don't call Rick for them, because you're not going to get them. It does not have to be barium ferrite. It was an experiment of mine. Just to see what would happen. And it worked. Didn't have to spin it around with your finger like he's doing over here. So that So, I want you people to enjoy yourselves. I want you to learn something. Don't sell me short because I'm not there. I'm working on this stuff all the time. I don't have time to get on the internet, as I used to say to Jerry Decker, and become a chatter. I have time to chat. I've tried the chatting. Doesn't work. Never going to work. And you're always going to have somebody infiltrating the mess. It's going to call you a liar anyway, so what's the difference? Why bother? Now, let's talk about Rick. Rick was the only guy that ever allowed you people to get these kids. John couldn't do it. John didn't have any money. I could never do it. Yeah, I can draw a circuit and build a little AM radio to listen to a station when they turn off my electric. But that's about what I could do. I never had any money. I was always scraping for money like most people that do these kind of things do. You scrape for money. And believe me, the powers to be know you're scraping for money. So you need to learn this. You need to know what energy is. I think it should be taught in grade school, like Shawnee did. I'm going to tell you a little story about Shawnee. Gene Manning would like this. I don't think I ever told Gene. I sort of kept it to myself. Shawnee Bauman was never allowed to participate in a science fair again. She tried it the second year, and they kicked her out. Why? It intimidated the teachers. Figure this out. How hard could this be? This is really simple. If you take one magnet and put it on a wheel, and you hook up the battery with just a clip lead, you can see the wheel moves. If you wait for the magnet to come around again and hit it just at the right time, the wheel goes, doesn't it? But where does the wheel go? The wheel goes past center of the ball. And just think, when you take that clip lead off, if you had a diode there to catch it, to bring it back to another battery that went back to the positive part, you'd be charging the other battery for free. What's so hard about that? That's like really simple. But not for somebody that knows nothing about basic wiring or electronics. It's not simple. You will scratch your head. You'll say, I only know what the plus is, like Gary back there, right, Gary? He'll tell you. I see the plus on the battery, I know the red lead goes there, the black one goes on the other one. That's it. It either works or doesn't. But Rick, on the other hand, plugged away on this group. I know, I talked to his wife. Talk to my wife. She'll tell you sometimes I didn't see him. Where was he? At work all night long, doing his whatever he did. Believe me, there were no girls there. There were only magnets. And whirling motors and buzzing speakers. That's all there was. So I guess everybody knew where I was. Oh, John, yeah, he's up. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, what's he doing tonight? Like going into Mr. Wizard's laboratory. What do you do with that? Gary and myself moved to Idaho. We were actually born and raised in California and ran our company down there in Sylmar, California for 30-some years, and which was all amplifiers. And Gary and I moved 186,000 pounds of electronic parts to Idaho because I remember the diesel driver complaining that he blew 13 tires to get here. Of course, Tom says, what do you want to go to Idaho for? Why are you going there? I said, well, my dad suckered me into it. Rhonda says, I don't want to go there, it's cold. So, well, you can build the house you want. Okay. So that didn't last long because John got tired of the snow. I am tired of the snow. There's no Caribbean island for John. There's just Idaho. So welcome to Idaho, and welcome where the weather changes every 5 minutes. Now it'll snow. Just think, it's going to snow on me. You'll be gone. Won't have anything to do with it. And you'll never hear from me because I'll probably be buried by snow. But listen, everybody. It's Tom Bearden's birthday. And that's what this is all about. I thought that I would present this machine on Tom Bearden's birthday, for his 80th birthday. And when I talked to Tom, Tom said, John, no, it's not about me. It's about you. I said, no. It's about you, Tom. And he said, okay. Like Tom always does, the gentle giant, right? Okay, John, whatever you want to do. Don't worry about it, it'll be fine. Get up there and talk to those people. So here I am. Happy birthday, Tom. It's on film now. Now what I'd like you to do and view anything that you want to view, take the pictures that you want to picture. I'm going to allow you to do that. I'm not going to keep it from you. We're not going to hide it. It's not going to be behind the veil curtain like in 1984 where the presentation was over and the machine disappeared. Not going to happen. So have at it.
He said he filled him up earlier and then just went right back down.
Show me the proper way.
Well, are you missing anything?
Oh wow, I'm already out of tape.
There's
I'm out of
another pair
battery.
over here. Put them with the coat.
There we go, guys. The battery's.
On the way out, you good to go till you head out? Park?
You just drive through the park. The ramp's locked.
Are you good to go until you head out? We're gonna head out where? Yeah, I'm just gonna pull forward and then back out. Okay. I got you, Gordy. Okay. Are y'all secure?
Here we go. We're taking the toys away. The end. Here, Steve. Take my camera, film that, and then film me coming out when the door closes. And I'll say the end.
You want me to stay in here?
Don't stop filming until I get out and say it. No. Come. Go. Follow me. No, follow that right now. Go in there. Follow that out. And then go outside and film me coming out. Good. John, close the door.
You're right a little bit. There you go, perfect. The end.
Coming. Coming, do good. Straight back. Straight back.
Man, that looks really cool.
Go, film that and then swing it around. Yeah, and then swing it around here.
Oh, it's not focusing.
Swing it on right over here. Right when it closes. And that's the end. Thank you for coming.
I like that little camera.
comes a policeman.
Oh shit.
Oh, now I'm gonna get pulled over. Forgot my blue lights were on.